Hey, what's up, everybody? Garrett with Trans-Pecos Ultra, here with another episode of our Women of Will series. So I'm going to go ahead and add Jackie. There she is. All right.
Hey,
Jackie, what's up?
how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
That's awesome. Well, thanks for joining us on our second episode of Women of Will. As we do this series, just kind of highlighting amazing women out there just getting it and that have a lot of willpower. So appreciate that.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So I guess just to introduce you, if you want to give a little bit about yourself, our friendship kind of started in 2019, I want to say, when we just started connecting on social media because of Team Ultra.
That's correct. Yeah. I'm based out in North Carolina, so Cary, North Carolina. And I've been running for about 4 years now.
Okay.
I lost my leg to cancer quite a few years ago. And then just decided I'd give running a try and see how it goes, and I've loved every minute of it.
That's awesome. So you weren't a runner before you lost your leg?
No.
Okay. So that kind of came out of like dealing with that and like wrestling through that process?
I kind of just wanted to, I'd seen everyone else kind of running and things, and I was like, why can't I do that? And at the time, obviously, I didn't have a running blade, and it was bizarre because before that, I didn't like running. I was never a runner. I thought I'd never be a runner. But there's something about if you're told you can't do it, that you kind of suddenly think, but why not? Why can't I give it a try and see what happens? And that's kind of how we got onto the journey of me trying running to see what it's going to be like.
Yeah. I think one of my favorite posts that I've seen of yours is the post of where you put the picture of you like struggling to finish a 5K next to finishing a 50-miler, and I'm just like, that is so amazing. What did that timeline look like from like 5K struggle to like finishing your first 50?
My first 50, because I went from, so I started in 2016. And then I ran my first 50 last year. So what's that, 2019?
So 4 years.
So it took me a few, because in 2018 I ran my first 40 miler. So I kind of like built it up that way. And I remember that first 5K, I was like, I don't think I'd be able to do this again. I'm like, I'm done. This is like, I couldn't even run. I literally ran, I think, about a mile of that whole 5K, and the rest I walked, because I just couldn't. And it was so funny, and it's great to kind of see how I've learned to love it and just kind of got into it, and I've just learned to kind of push boundaries and just keep going.
Yeah. It's like the running and the like, especially the ultra world, I know for a lot of us it's learning to manage something. So for me, like, it was learning to manage a ton of stress that had come into my life, and like dealing with my work overseas and things like that. I just needed an outlet to help manage that in a healthy way. Was that kind of similar for you when you started going into the ultra realm and all that, or was it just a pure love for running?
It was a bit of both. It was kind of the pure. I just kind of just fell in love with being able to do it, and I think there was a bit of a drive of, I can actually do this on a prosthetic leg, and there was an element of so many people telling me, why would you go that far? Why amputees don't do distances like that? And kept telling people, just telling you, no, you shouldn't do it.
Yeah.
There's so many things that can go wrong. And I was like, I was just getting told, I was tired of the negativity, and I was like, why not? Why can't I just give it a go and see what happens? And it's kind of, that's how I've approached every single race. I'm like, I show up at the start line and think, you know what, let's see what happens. I give it my best, and you can't predict it, and we'll see.
That's awesome. No, I love that. And it's one of the reasons, like, why I wanted to have you on here. It's just like seeing you along your journey and just seeing how much will you have to like be like, nope, I'm gonna do this. Don't care what people say. Like, I'm gonna do this. And just, you know, to see even the transformation of like people starting to come behind you in that. And like, I got to see when you got off your prosthetic onto your blade and just
Yeah.
to see what that did. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Uh, what do you mean, like coming off?
I mean, like when people like it felt from what I saw, like you got some people to like come around you and support you, and then you got to get on your new blade, which really seemed to help your running.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That was amazing because it's been, and I've been very honest in all my posts and stuff. It is very much a team effort, and it started as a struggle, kind of getting people to see what I was trying to do, and then kind of you get to that point where everyone's like, oh my goodness, really? Okay, how can we help you and things like that, and kind of start working as a team, and everyone's standing around and changing my because I went from one blade to a different a newer blade, a newer version of which was much better for trail running, and everyone as a team kind of just working together to kind of make adjustments, make sure that I can kind of get to where I am, and that part of the journey has been amazing. I've met so many wonderful people that just kind of just want to help me along my journey.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think that's one of the coolest things about the running community and kind of especially the ultra community is that it is a very like solo thing in that you're out there grinding out miles by yourself often, but then there is this like nebulous community, especially in the races and all of that, where it's very much that you're all together.
That's correct. It's like it's a support network that you don't always see. And that's what I just love about it. And you know everyone's there for you. Even when you're out there on solo miles and things like that, you still know you've got those people are kind of got your back.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I think I hear your kids in the background.
No, that's actually, I decided to sit outside because my kids have been really busy inside.
Yeah.
And now our neighbors are actually having their house painted. And it was like, they were so quiet. And it's like, oh no, now they're starting.
It's all good.
So probably just kind of like noisy. I'm like, oh man, because my kids have like, they got a little bit bored. So they've been kind of running around and just going crazy.
Yeah, that kind of leads me into a question I had for you. What has that looked like along this journey of like, you know, being an amputee ultra runner, balancing your family life and a growing running career?
It has its challenges. I mean, my husband's been amazing because he really supports and things, and he's also a runner, so we kind of have to juggle the kids. So we play kind of it's a bit of a tag team going on. Like I'd come home, he'd go out for his run, or vice versa. So someone's with the kids and things, and the kids have been amazing. I mean, they just see mommy as this crazy runner, and they're like, oh, there she goes again. What's she doing next? And it kind of hasn't become a big deal. Like when I did the 100 on the treadmill, like they were just like, oh, mommy's done that. Oh, okay. It's like it's kind of become like the norm. So yeah, it's challenging fitting it all in, but we make it work.
That's awesome. That's a great segue into kind of another great reason we wanted to chat with you is, yeah, you just did a 100-miler on a treadmill, which even for like your average, like, or not average, but even for your like elite ultra runner is like a crazy thing to even go for, and yet you just hammer it out. You know, and like it's so inspiring. And like I tell people about you all the time, and I'm like, this lady is like one of my biggest heroes. I'm like, when I'm complaining about my legs or something hurting, I think of my friend Jacky because she's out there killing it and she's on a blade. Like I have no reason to complain. So talk about that and why you know wanted to do the 100 on the treadmill, what that looked like logistically, different things like that.
Well, I was supposed to do Amsterdam 100 and that was cancelled. And then I was kind of bummed, and I was like, I really want to get 100 done this year. And then we kind of thought about it and thought how I could do it. And originally the plan was I was going to do laps around my neighborhood, which would be like 200 laps to be able to do it. But then with the social distancing and all that, it kind of got a little bit, because our neighborhood gets really busy, surprisingly. And it was going to be a little bit difficult to kind of avoid people and things like that. So wanting to do my thing and making sure I kind of do my part, I decided, well, how about the treadmill? And I kind of researched it and things, and then I found out an amputee hasn't done it on the treadmill before. So I was like, oh, that would be quite exciting. So why not give it a try? So kind of that's how it kind of got going. And then logistically wise, the longest run I've ever done on a treadmill is 10 miles.
Wow.
And I've always been honest about my treadmill journey, because it's always, I find treadmill running quite challenging. On the blade, I'm either hitting the front of the front of the treadmill, or I'm nearly flying off the back. So it's kind of always trying to it's a bit of a balancing game. And so I thought, okay, not only is it 100 miles on the treadmill, but it's going to be a hell of a challenge, because I just need to be able to stay on the thing the whole time. And so I was like, oh yeah, I'm up for the challenge. And that's kind of how the whole thing started. I mean, the treadmill I've got, we've had for about 3.5 years. So it's not that old, but it's not one of the most expensive treadmills we bought. So I wasn't sure, does a treadmill last for 100 miles? Does it cut out at some point? Is the engine going to burn out or something? It's like all those things. And I'm like, okay, let's see how this goes. And I kind of had to work that in and just think, you know what, I'll just have to go. Because I had loads of people message me. They're like, does it not like at a gym? Because the treadmills apparently at the gyms kind of cut off after a certain time to kind of limit, I don't know, because I've never used a treadmill at the gym before. And so I was like, well, we'll just have to work that in. If my treadmill resets, then I'll just use that as a break to go to the toilet and eat something and things like that. So it would be quite good. But surprisingly, my treadmill kept going. It just didn't stop. And I was like, okay. But then we got to like mile 99, and I was like, imagine if it cuts out at mile 99, I would like be mortified.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, surprisingly, it just kept going. And I mean, logistically wise, it was kind of, I guess it was easier than if I had gone running outside, because I literally had everything I needed in the room. So I would get off if I just needed to go to the bathroom, and then get back on it again and stuff like that. So I kind of had everything, which in a sense made it mentally quite a challenge, because you kind of keep going and you don't have much of a distraction. But yeah, it was good. It was a good experience. While I was doing it, I was like, yeah, I'm never doing this again. About an hour after I finished, I was like, oh yeah, maybe we can push up the miles a little bit. Let's see if I can do this again. So, who knows, I might do it again.
That's awesome. Well, congratulations on being the first amputee to ever do that, let alone
Thank you.
100 miles on a treadmill. I think we can all relate to treadmill miles are not fun miles.
No.
So.
Well, I did learn to love the treadmill. After 100 miles, you look at the treadmill very differently. I'm like, oh, okay, I could do this. 10 miles is going to be an easy breeze now.
Yeah. And your treadmill was a Nordic track, right?
It was a Nordic track, yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, because that was one thing I was like, that's got to be a pretty good treadmill, because I think most would die.
Yeah. I was so impressed. I actually sent them a message afterwards, because I was like, I'm so well impressed with this Nordic track, because it just kept going. It had no, like, it didn't, because I thought maybe the, I don't know what you call it, like the belt and things like that, and the engine and stuff. I thought, or the motor, I thought that might actually get really hot or something, because it just kept, I didn't switch it off at all. And it was absolutely fine.
That's awesome. That's really, really cool. I just had a thought about like doing a treadmill 100. What did your pace actually like come out better than a road or a trail race, or like were your splits more even, or what did that look like?
It kind of, I vary. So my splits were quite different, because I kind of tried to vary the pace a lot. But it was, in a sense, the treadmill, in a sense, on running on the blade was easier than if I had done it in Umstead, because it wasn't trail. So it was just, pretty much flat. I mean, even though I varied the elevation and things like that, it's just because you don't have any rocks and roots and things like that. So if that makes sense, you know what I mean? So it just, in that sense, it kind of made it more smooth to run on
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. I'm thinking I had two questions. One of them was like, you talked a little bit about how in the middle of it, it was just kind of getting to that grueling point. You're like, I'm never doing this again. What like motivates you? What fires that willpower that you have? You know, is it a quote? Is it like just determination? Like, can you speak on that a little?
I don't like giving up. And that's kind of my motivation. I know what it feels like if I haven't finished something, because I had one race where I kind of walked out and I was like, I'm done. I can't do this. I just can't. And I always have that feeling in me, like that that feeling of disappointment of just not finishing what you set out to do. So I'm just determined to kind of, I want to show everyone what's possible on a prosthetic leg. So I keep pushing, and I'm like, that feeling when you've accomplished something so amazing is like, it's the best feeling in the world. So it kind of keeps me going. Yeah,
That's
I'm
awesome.
stubborn. I'm stubborn.
That's great. And then my second question was, you were talking about the treadmill is easier because it wasn't on trail, which is kind of obvious.
Yeah.
But something I've always wondered about with a blade is like, what difficulties do you run into with that? Like, do you find that it hooks on roots and stuff, or has it become kind of part of your body to where you don't have issues with it as much?
Um, it has kind of become part of my body, but I still have like issues where I need to remember because I can't feel the ground when I'm running. So I can feel it hitting the ground, but it's hard to explain, but it's like, and also because the blade's kind of curved up a little bit, I always have to look at the ground to kind of when I'm running, because just any kind of little root or any rock that I kind of miss, my blade will catch and I'm on the ground. So you kind of, I'm less aware, like I don't have to concentrate as much as I used to in the beginning. So I've become more comfortable with it. So I kind of had that feeling, I can kind of judge it a little bit better. But I think I've become a little bit more where I can, and I think that's just experience as a trail runner, because I think you learn more to kind of look ahead when you're running on trails. So you're not always just focused where your feet are immediately. You're looking ahead to see what other obstacles there are and stuff like that. And I think that's just, in the beginning, I had none of that because
Mm,
I was so new to trail running too. So I think with that too, it's kind of developed a little bit.
yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, that alone would take a lot of determination. There, like, there's nothing worse than just getting slammed to the ground by Mother Nature, and you're just like, ah.
The amount of times I've wiped out it's funny. It is funny. And that was one of the things when I kind of started trail running. Everyone's like, "Oh man, you're gonna fall so badly, and why do you want to do this?" And I was like, "Because it's it's the it's the achievement of it, and it's just the fun. It's being out in nature and things like that." And yes, I've wiped out and I've fallen hard. I've like really fallen hard where I'm like, oh, I'm not sure if I've broken something, but I haven't ever, thank goodness, not yet. But you get up, you dust yourself off, and you keep going. And it's just like, the more I do it, the better I am. And it is what it is. And I'm like, it's part of the fun, it's part of the learning experience.
Yeah. Has that whole process, because I know for me, like if I'm not running mindfully, like if I'm not present, boom, I'm down, you know,
Uh-huh.
I trip right away. Has that really developed a different, like, have you seen your like mental awareness and all of that grow through this process of as well?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I'm just, I just, if I just take my eyes off the trail, I'm done for. That's it, and things like that. So you just learn to focus much better, and yeah,
Mhm.
it's definitely made a big difference.
Yeah, that's awesome. Um, so we've kind of talked about a little bit of your timeline, you know, from 5K now to your first 100-miler on a treadmill. And you've also done Trans Rockies, which is a supported stage race, right?
It is a sport of stage race, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, you kind of seem like a little bit invincible, and you're just like knocking these things out. You know, what's next for you? Are you looking to like the 200 milers? Are you looking to just maybe like self-supported stage racing? Like, what have you thought?
I'm looking at them both. I am looking at a 200, which my husband, when I said that, he just looked at me. He's like, oh no, here we go. So yeah, and then I'm looking at a self-supporter because it just excites me. It's just being out there and doing it on your own, and it's scary and exciting at the same time. And that's like, then I should really do it.
Yeah, yeah,
So yeah,
for sure. Those things that you're scared to go towards are the things that you probably know you should.
yeah, exactly, exactly.
Head on. Yeah.
And why not? Yeah, that's how life is, and it's part of the journey.
Yeah, exactly. Another thought I had when I was kind of like thinking on these questions and, you know, wondering about the 200 and the self-supporting stuff, have you thought about like FKTs? Like, I'm sure that there will be a division for amputee FKTs and stuff.
Well, I hope so. There is actually one I'm eyeing out. I'm keeping it a bit of a secret at the minute. But yeah, there is one I'm going after very soon, actually. So yeah, it's on the radar.
That's awesome. Cool. I'll definitely be keeping my eye out on that.
Oh, yeah.
So, and if you need support, feel free to reach out. So
I will do. Yeah, I will do. Definitely.
That's really cool. So let me just see what my questions were. You seem to be, well, you not seem to be, you are a trendsetter and an incredible woman of will that a lot of other women, not only amputee people, but like, you know, lots of people are looking to. But has there been a woman that like has mentored you or that you've kind of looked to or has helped you through this journey?
There hasn't been someone that's actually mentored me, but there are a few awesome ultra runners out there that I kind of look up to, like Camilla Herron, Courtney. I mean, I just think they're phenomenal, and I'm always watching their journeys and things like that, and I'm like, oh man, I'd love to be like that, and it's incredible.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I can totally relate to that smile that Courtney gives, like,
yeah,
at any mileage, you're just like, I want that. I want to go do that.
Exactly. It's like, yeah, she obviously loves what she does, and it's just, yeah.
That's very cool.
She's an amazing woman to watch.
Yeah, that is awesome. So yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of, unless you had anything else you wanted to talk about, is there anybody specifically, you mentioned your husband, anybody else that you want to give a shout out to that's been with you through this journey and everything?
Oh man, I've had so incredible, like everyone that follows me on Instagram and things like that. I know I've had the incredible, everyone has just been so supportive, and I wish honestly I could thank every single one of them, and I can't always because it gets a little bit crazy, but it's just I feel so incredibly grateful for everyone's support and always reaching out. And then I had two friends of mine that came out, Lauren and Rachel, who came out and supported me with a 100-miler. And bless them, they sat on the porch cheering me on through the window and just like, yeah, go Jacky, go Jacky. And I was like, oh, this is so sweet.
That's awesome. Yeah, I saw that picture, and as like a documentary photographer, like that picture just spoke so much to me. I loved everything about it. That was really cool.
Yeah. I tried to keep it real because I'm very much, this is me, this is who I am, and things like that. And those pictures were like, you know what, this is what real life's like. This is what it's like when you're kind of going through doing this crazy things on a treadmill and things like that. So yeah, it was a good capture.
That's awesome. Well, very cool. Thanks so much for your time, Jacky, and for chatting
No,
with
thanks for
us.
having me. And apologies
Absolutely.
about the noise because I don't know what's what's happening next door. Sorry.
No, it was not bad at all. So
Okay,
appreciate that. And hopefully we get to connect later this year, maybe at Trans-Pecos.
that would be cool. Yes, fingers crossed.
Yes.
Thank you.
Awesome. Good chat.
All right, bye.
Bye.